Hey, welcome to another episode of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show, our ongoing miniseries where we break down key updates and design questions straight from the development of Shade Protocol. These episodes are built around the game's community engagement series, Devs Ask You or DAUs, where Kendall and the team not only show what's changing, but invite fans to shape the journey with them. Today we're shining the spotlight on one of the game's most dangerous and fascinating foes, the Deathletter. These aren't just another enemy type to fight and forget. They bring hive-mind intelligence, adaptive tactics, and chilling lore that sets them apart from anything else you'll face in the game. Be sure to follow us and Little Legendary on our socials and YouTube channel, and be sure to join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice directly with the dev team. Links to everything will be in the description down below, and with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time! As you mentioned, their behavior is smarter than typical enemies, dodging, repositioning, and even calling for backup, according to the DAUs. What challenges did you face in making you and the team in making the enemy AI feel intelligence without becoming frustrating?
So we're still fighting that battle. I'm not going to even pretend. We're making a lot of strides into it. I could tell you a little bit of what our mindset is, which is not how it currently works, but it is the design philosophy of where we're going to get to it. So there's an enemy like the Deathletter. It's going to have, we don't know how it would be called, right? This is still like in design, but pretty much they have an archetype, which is, ranged, grounded, sniper type, right? That's most of it. Like we'll call it like the D&D class, right? So it's kind of like a sniper. But then they also should have some like we call it like a behavior, but it's mostly like they have a purpose, they have a goal, and the Deathletter wants to be far away from zero, like that's their behavior. So we'll call that maybe backliner, I don't know, something like that. So or sharpshooter, whatever it is. It's just like a word that we're using to catalog a type of behavior. So they will want to be far away from you. They want to be away from me. They don't want to be in your face. They want to get distance and then use their toolkit to eliminate you. Whereas like an enemy like the Savior Exo, it's a really, really tanky dude with a shield and a vibration sword. This guy, his behavior is protector. So whenever he's alone, he's dangerous. But whenever there's another Savior, he wants to be in front of them between that character and Zura. And then he gets more dangerous because he fulfilled his goal. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's how we're thinking about AI. If an enemy fulfills its goal, it'll be more dangerous. So you don't want them to fulfill their goal. And their goal is, if you're a very tanky character and your goal is to protect the others and you get to be in front of them, you're protecting them. Effectively, you fulfilled your goal. And now you got to be more dangerous. Maybe certain abilities will be available only whenever those goals are achieved, or maybe they'll be able to, be more reactive, or maybe we'll lower some cooldowns. Like we want that to be the case. We're still exploring to see if we're going to implement that exactly like I'm describing it, but that's the goal. So whenever you're dealing with a Deathletter, one of their behaviors is, the hive mind. So if there's many of them, then they will get exponentially harder, right? Materially harder. That's the goal. But they also want to be far away from you. So they're trying to do both things at the same time. They're trying to be around one another so they can support each other, but they want to be far away from you. So the more of those goals they fulfill, the more dangerous they become. So your job as a player is to figure that out, and we give you tools to figure that out. And then, play the game not only as a, shoot them up or, beat them up, just smacking them, but also being thoughtful that maybe getting in the middle between a Deathletter and an Exo is good for you,
right?
Because that defeats that beats the goal of the Exo. The Exo doesn't get to protect the Deathletter, and the Deathletter now is close to you, so she wants to run away, and that gives you time to maybe turn around and deal with the Exo, or and then dodge whatever you get from the Deathletter, etc. So it's a more hopefully it's a dream, right? But hopefully it's a more engaging way of interacting with enemy AI than them just having a pattern and then a cycle of attacks, and that's just what they do.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, for the death letter in this case, since it wants to be far from you, then a good way to like throw it off its game, I guess, is to get up on their faces and be like, nah, you ain't running away from me or whatever. And for that last point you just made, yeah, I want to expand a bit upon that. From a gameplay perspective, do you want players to feel like they're being outsmarted at times by the death letter? Or is the goal more about creating that tension and unpredictability, trying to get and force that player to like change up their own tactics when fighting these different enemies?
So I think it's a little bit of both. I do think like an enemy outsmarting the player, as long as they're not reading your inputs, which some games really like doing.
Okay.
And I don't hate that at all. I just think like it can be a little bit of a easy way out of a design problem. Sometimes it's great because sometimes it makes the enemies just very interesting, but it can be really frustrating if like you're dashing into an enemy and you're swinging and then they instantly backdash because they knew you. That's the problem is you pressed. It just feels like they're reading you versus they saw what you were doing and then they reacted. Right. That's different, right? So I like the idea of them reacting. So they know what you're doing because you did it, and because it already happened, then they're reacting. But if you're in front of them and you swing, and the enemy like instantly parries you because they know that you pressed the attack button, then I think like that's not exactly what we're going for. So I get to answer the question. I like them to, for example, if they get to like if the death letter backdashes into a ledge and they see, oh, there's a platform. I mean, this is once again all a pipe dream, but we want to do something like this. If they see a platform that they can get to, they might jump into that platform and then they'll shoot you from over there. So it's not like you can't get to them now, but they created friction between you and them. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for, like a situation where the enemy will not just die. Of course, we have many other enemies that just die. Snacklers are really good at dying. We love them for that. We want them, we want them to pop. So they're fun. But the death letter should feel more consequential. They feel like they are a threat and they're constantly finding ways to control you. But of course, the player will, Sura has probably one of the most advanced and evolved toolkits in any Metroidvania I've ever seen. So you're not out of options at any point to either reach them or interact with them or not let them take control over you, but you have to press buttons, right? So I think that's the core goal.
Shade Protocol continues to be shaped not just by its creators, but by its community. Whether it's refining how story is told or rethinking player immersion, every DAU opens the door to deeper collaboration. This has been another episode of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show. Want to help shape what Shade Protocol becomes? Join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice with the dev team directly. And if you like this breakdown, then stay tuned for more spotlights and interviews with Kendall right here on the Razzle Dazzle Show. Remember, the future of Amiria is still being written. We'll catch you on the next one.